My name is Michael Cross. I'm a journalist, and from a paper that I wrote mostly for a paper that campaigns quite strongly on a platform of privacy. So it'll come as no surprise to you that I'm speaking in favour of the motion. But though I think that marketers should be allowed to use all the data, it all hinges on what we mean in the best philosophical sense of the word, what we mean by the word use, and I'll come to that at the end. It's great having the Information Commissioner on the panel, a real privilege. I'm going to start by quoting his distinguished predecessor, Richard Thomas, who famously warned that we were, as a society, in danger of sleepwalking into a surveillance society. I kind of agree with that in terms of the word sleepwalking, but I'd also like to say we're also, especially the chattering class, in danger of sleepwalking in the opposite direction, into a self-interest society, a society where privacy, we have a sense that privacy is under siege, but our reaction to this is somehow to place privacy, to privilege it over other human rights and give it an unassailable trump card in any debate to do with the use of data, whether in public services, my own special interest, or, I'll come to it, in marketing. I came to this conclusion from a rather odd route. I started out probably 10 years ago as being quite a fundamental, hard privacy advocate myself. And then about 4 years ago now, I got together with the technology editor of The Guardian, and the two of us were looking for a campaign to run. And we started looking at the wealth of data held by the British government in agencies such as Ordnance Survey, the Met Office, Companies House. And we started looking at the way the British government traded in this data, still running effectively nationalised industries at the forefront of the knowledge economy. And we thought this was wrong and anti-competitive, and also anti-democratic because it restricted access to data about the way the public services, our environment, our society worked. And we came up with this campaign, Free Our Data. And the basis was, at the time, that non-personal data held by public bodies should be available, first of all, for free. Free is easy to say. Free is a great slogan. But not only free in cost, but free for reuse by all comers. And this was, at the time, 4 years ago, it was quite a controversial idea to get over. Though slightly to our alarm, because there's nothing worse than a newspaper campaign that actually succeeds, because it puts us out of work. This has now actually become both the policy of the government. Gordon Brown made a big free data policy announcement last December, and it's also very much the policy of the opposition. We've had a lot of David Cameron's ideas for reforming public services are based on the idea of free access and free reuse of data, and we've seen Boris Johnson has led the way in many ways. And this led me thinking about where the borders lie between data that are protected, safeguarded, and data that are available for reuse. And my conclusion was that the chattering class had got it wrong. There was still an instinctive fear of allowing data to be reused or accessed by the great unwashed. And part of this fear was a natural reaction to perceived threats like CCTV, the NHS National Patient, the National Care Record Service, not to mention the database. But my feeling was the pendulum had swung too far in terms of the fear of what what was going to be done with this data, and that this fear, this assumption that data should be protected, that privacy was the trump card, came with a cost to society. seems to me that I'll give three examples of the cost. One is the accessibility of demographic data. We've seen, because of fears about privacy, we've seen telephone directories and census data more or less disappear. We no longer have access to that. We have the great national opt-out from contributing data to medical research. The Walpert data sharing report raised concerns about this 2 years ago. A story I've been covering recently was a database to identify serial litigants, people who sue again and again for unfair discrimination. A lawyer set up a database, not a database, a website to try and identify these people. And opponents managed to get 40 MPs, all right, rent-a-gobs maybe, but 40 MPs to sign an early day motion against what seems to be a very worthwhile exercise, really on the spurious grounds of privacy. I'll finish on another pet subject of mine, which is the one-stop death notification service. The idea, it seems to me obvious that government should provide, when a member of your family dies, a one-stop shop to report it. This was pioneered in Wolverhampton 10 years ago, and the trial there ran out of steam, was wound up because of fears about privacy. Why the dead are presumed to have privacy is beyond me. We'll come on to that. And partly because no politician likes dealing in death. No one likes to stand up and say, death's better under the Conservatives. No one's ever got to grips with this. And it seems to me this is absolute madness, a worthwhile public policy initiative that's founded on this because the pendulum of privacy has gone the wrong way. We're obsessed with privacy. So free data, and free data means for reuse for commercial as well as social purposes. But I come back to my use of the term use. We need to avoid adding to this backlash in the chattering class, and that means responsible use. It means use that is not seen by the public as obtrusive. Otherwise, the pendulum is going to swing further, and society will be the worse for it. Thank you for listening.